So, this week what we're going to do is we're going to set up our character to get it ready for animation. But before we can even bother rigging it, I need to finish it. So, we didn't finish it before, but our character, if you may have noticed, does not have eyes or hair. So we're going to go ahead and get that done first, and we'll do that in this video, and then the next one we'll do the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to do the hair first because that'll be easier. So to do the hair, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my guy here, and I'm going to Control D to duplicate them, okay? So you're going to see there's a second one here, okay? Now, with the one selected, I'm going to hit Shift I, which is isolate selected. So you see it says isolate persp. So it's Shift I. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to use this head as a way to make my sculpt. So I'm going to go to Poly Modeling, and we're going to use the multi-cut tool. And I'm going to draw basically my hairline and go from there. So, yeah. So I'm just going to go boom, boom, come on, boom, there, okay. It's weird. I forgot my computer has a weird thing with delays. So I'm just drawing. Now, obviously, the geometry is not good. I'm just not going to concern myself with that right at the moment. Let's backspace that. We'll go like this, and then I'll just go down, and we'll just say that it goes like this across. So I'm going to hit Enter, and then from the ear here, I'm just going to go up and around. Oops. I just hit backspace to undo a line. Click and drag. Click and drag, and then we'll just go to here, and we'll just use this to go around the back. So I'm just going to hit Enter, so you can kind of see the path there, and I'm just going to do the other side. Now I could obviously make this symmetrical, but by doing this way it's asymmetrical, and that might actually be a little bit better, look a little bit more realistic. Oops, I went too far over. Backspace, backspace. Right, and we'll just say that that's good, and hit Enter, click here, and basically go around the ear, like so, all the way around, and then we'll just click, oops, I'm going to backspace, and we'll click Enter, Enter, okay. So now I've drawn these lines where I want the hair to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Q for the regular select tool. And I'm going to try and basically go through and delete these. So I'm in textured mode. I'm actually just going to hit 5 to bring it to non-texture mode. And I'm just going to delete, make sure I'm in faces. Faces, there we go. That was not the one I wanted. I'm going to hold Tab for paint select and just kind of click and paint all of the parts that, oh, I did want those. Okay, and then we'll hit delete. Probably see where we're going with this. I'm gonna hold Tab again and just go down here, and we'll just say it goes to here. And we'll just hit delete. And I'm just going to click here and here and here and here. Like that. A little nublet there. And delete. I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold Shift and double click to go all the way around and delete. And I'll click, 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 and delete. Alright, so we got pretty close. And double click to grab that whole section and delete, delete. If the double clicking doesn't work, just do the best you can. Just click around until you get it all. Then I'm going to double click this, double click that. All right, and now all I have left is this hair shape. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to have nothing selected, Shift I to bring everything back. Okay, so if you look closely, you can see my hair sculpt. So I'm going to click until I get it. So you might have to click back and forth, and eventually you'll get it. So there we go. Got it selected. And I'm just going to hit extrude. So I'm just going to hit extrude. And when it pops up, I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out a little bit. We'll say like that. All right. Good. And then if I want to go farther with it, I could grab this face and hit Control E for extrude. And I'll just pull it out just I'll scale in a little bit. Right. And so if you want to grab any pieces and extrude those out, like if you want to like go farther with it, I don't really want to, but could. Okay, so now I've got this shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and poly smooth it. So I'm going to hit the this thing to subdivide it. So now you can see I've got this shape. And with this shape, I'm going to go ahead and just sculpt it. I'm going to go to the sculpting tool. So I'm just going to make sure I'm in object mode, sculpting tool, regular old flavor sculpt. And it's B for the brush size and M for the strength. So I am just going to basically try to, honestly, it doesn't even matter how good of a job you do because it's more about just getting some variation in it. So I'm just kind of clicking and dragging. Kind of click and drag. It's not the greatest hair. And then you can use shift to smooth if you want. And my hair is pretty thin, so there's probably, but if I hit control, that'll go inwards. But see, it goes too far for that. But you can just kind of sculpt it if you want. But you could do other things too, where even besides sculpting, like you could make it go up farther. Like if you want to do more of like a cool fro kind of haircut, or maybe like that straight one, like a high top or something. Or you could maybe take the back and extrude down, or extrude the sides down if you want to do like long hair. So you can grab the, if you want to do spike hair, you could grab like, sections. Like I could go like this, right, and then grab like this section. This section. I'm not going to keep this, but they say, extrude it up kind of a thing. And then you could just click on this and then just pull them in. You know what I'm saying? And then if you were to subdivide it, you'd get kind of like spiky hair. So you could play around with it, but basically you get the idea. You're just going to make a shape. The easiest way I have found to do it, though, is to just literally draw it on the... This hair looks terrible. It's totally balding. It's just to literally draw it right on top of, use the head that's there, just delete everything else, and then use that skull cap as basically a way of making it. It's pretty simple. All right, let's make the eyeball. So the eyeball should be relatively simple. So what we're going to want to do is use a sphere, but we're going to use a sphere that we usually use. I'm going to make a different one. So we're going to create polygon sphere. Create polygon primitive, sphere, option box. And I want you to do 16 by 16. 16 by 16. Usually we do 8 by 8, but in this case I'm not as worried about it. My sphere is... Where did you put it? 4. I don't see it. Did I hit cancel? I thought I hit to create. Maybe I didn't. Let's try that again. So create, polygon primitive, sphere, option box. Must have hit cancel. 16 by 16 and create. There it is. Okay. I'm going to hit 5. I'm going to bring it. You might have to hit 4 for wireframe and then 5 to bring back this. Remember, 6 is shaded. Okay. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to rotate it forward by 90 degrees. All right. That is acceptable. All right. So now what we're going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and do modify freeze transformations. That'll clear this out. So now these are all zeros. I'm going to control D to duplicate and move this one over. All right, we're going to have 2 of them right here. Don't worry about them being the right size. We'll fix that afterwards. So what I'm going to do now is try to make an iris and a pupil out of what we have here. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my multi-cut tool, and I want my iris to be roughly this size here, like that. Okay. You can kind of see what we have. Now what I'm going to do is go hit Q or W or E or R. I'm going to go to vertex. I'm going to grab this one. Just grab the center one. I'm going to hold shift and then the greater than symbol. Like the alligator eats things. You know what I'm talking about. Shift greater than. And then I'm going to hit W. And what I want to do is, you can see how this is going like this. I want to push this in until these become, these 2 edges basically become flat. So I'm doing a little bit more like that. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is shift less than, and I'm going to push this in a decent amount more. And I'm going to scale it in, hit R for scale, scale it in. This will be my pupil. So this will be my iris. We just want these to be flat because that way it'll kind of roll in a little bit better. I went a little too far with that. That's all right though. So scale it in. This will be our pupil. And then shift less than again to make our selection even smaller. Take this guy and then just shove that in there. And then now we have our pupil. Okay. So what we're going to do is that this is going to go over top of this as a clear thing, and then this will be the eyeball inside. All right. So now we need to do, one last thing. So go to object mode and just take this whole thing and just scale it just a little bit smaller. That way, when this goes over top of it, it will fit over top without it competing. Okay. All right. So, good. So now we have our geometry that we need. Let's just go ahead and make the materials that we need. So I'm going to click on this ball, or you go to Windows, General Editors, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. Okay, let's go ahead and just make a hair material real quick. I'm not going to do anything fancy with that, but just so that it's there. I'm just going to make a quick blend, and we'll just call it hair _ MAT. And I'm just going to make it a color. I'm just going to do brown hair. Like that. And I'm going to take the reflectivity. My hair is not reflective. And we will take eccentricity and make it more, widespread, but then take the actual color down. Like it's not very specular. Hair usually has a little bit of shine. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is just middle mouse button, click and drag, and voila, you can see he's now got his hair. Great. Okay, so there's his hair color. Now these are going to be a little bit more tricky. So we'll go ahead and make another material here. I'm just going to go ahead. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to pull you up. We're going to make another blend. And we're going to call this the eyeball _ MAT. The material, eyeball material. And what I want to do is let's just go ahead and already apply this. So just middle mouse button, click and drop it. It's going to wiggle so you can see it turned a little bit shiny. And I'm just going to go ahead and adjust some things here and take my reflectivity all the way down and my specular all the way down. I don't want it to be shiny or reflective. Okay, so basically it's a matte material. Okay, next what we're going to do is I want to change the color. So I'm actually going to use a ramp in order to make this happen. Okay, so what we're going to do is on color, I'm going to click on this. And this time, we're going to use a procedural texture, much like we did before. I'm going to use this ramp. I'm going to click on ramp. Okay, and then it's going to bring this up. Now, right now it says it's a V ramp. So what that means is, if I go to the UV editor, and if I select this, you will see V means it's going this direction. If it was U, it would be going this direction. So it's going from black to white this way, which works out because basically if you look at the back of it, you can see the back of it, you can see it's going from black to white. I need to obviously do the opposite, but that's what this ramp is showing. Okay, so that. So, lost my ramp here, but with the eyeball material selected, click this little thing that you connected earlier, and it'll bring you back to your ramp. What I'm going to do is reverse these. I'm going to take this one this way, I'm going to grab this one and just flip it the other way. So now black is in the front and white is in the back. Okay, pretty easy so far. And I'm going to pull my white up. Now, I want the black to be the pupil, but I only want that to go so far, and then it's got to turn to my iris color, right? So I'm just going to click in here. This will be my iris color. So with this one selected, all you got to do is just, the X will get rid of them, see the little X's, but if you click in, it'll create a new one, and then you can grab this. So with this one selected, it'll show you the color you have selected. So I'm going to click on this, and I'll just use that same brown I used earlier. Great. So now you can kind of see it, but you can tell right here, right? It's not quite right. So what I need to do is move this back until, let's say, here. And then I'm going to take the white and make it very, very tight. Right? So basically the white is right up against it. And then the black, I want to move up to where the other one goes. But in order to make this work, you see how it's still fading in between? So I need to make a second brown one. So I'm just going to click in here near the original brown and then pull this one this way. And okay, let's pull this way. Okay, so that's a little too far. pull this brown this way. And we'll go, say like that. So now if you look, you can see we basically have a white, then the iris, and then the pupil black. Okay? Now, we can go a step further with this just to make it look a little bit better, because if you look at it, it's just solid colors, and usually eyes have variation. There's striations in them. So we're going to go ahead and create that, and that's actually going to be relatively easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the inner brown. Oops, and I moved it a little bit. Didn't mean to do that. Select the inner brown color. And instead of just doing a solid color, you can see I could connect another procedural to that. So what we're going to do, so I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just do noise. And now you can see I got these cool striations. Now, it's not really showing up too well here, but I'll show you in a second. Now, the main thing I need to, you can adjust all these if you want to make the striations different, but the main thing I need to do is go to color balance. Now, if for some reason you mess up and you click off and you clicked on something else or something, just click on the eyeball material, click the little arrow, bring it to the ramp, then just click on that color, and then click on this arrow, and then it'll bring you back to it. So just in case you do mess that up. I'm going to go down to color balance, and the two colors I'm worried about are color gain and color offset. Okay, so color gain, I'm going to click on this. Hopefully, here we go. Click on that. I'll do a little bit of a lighter version. And then the color offset, click on this, and I will do a darker version. Okay, so those are affecting the darks and the lights in this. Now from there, you can go through and play with all these numbers. I don't know what they all mean by offhand there, but you can get the idea. And if we look over here, I'm just going to do a quick render so you can see. Let's try to do Arnold. Escape. I don't even know if it'll let me. I feel like my computer would just jump off the desk and murder itself trying to do this. It's not that Arnold's like this big thing, it's just my computer is so weak. It's so weak. Come on. I don't want you. Come on. I'm going to tell you the same thing my mother told me. I don't want you. Stop it. Stop it. Alright. Well, it's going to say rendering until it doesn't. It's just going to turn black anyway. Like, it's rendering black. But apparently that's too much for it to handle. So, come on. Stop. Alright, I'm going to pause it till this thing is done. And then when it's... Oh, there it goes. It stopped. No, it didn't. Maybe it did. Maya software. Maybe it did. I don't know. Let's see. There it goes. Okay, I don't know. It's weird because it's still showing this stupid thing here. Alright, but if I do Maya software, you can see, and the part I care about does last. You can see now it's got striations because of this. Okay, so you get the idea. It kind of looks like that. But it's very flat. So what I need to do is I need to add the lens shiny part. Okay, so we're going to make that too. So I'm going to make another blend. Apparently this is what my cursor looks like now. It's just the spinning thing. I'll never know if the computer's working or not. Okay. It's so great. It's still doing something down here. I don't know. Let's hope it doesn't crash. Actually, in fact, I'm going to save this real quick. And I'm going to save this as number 10. Okay. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the color, all this really doesn't matter. I'm taking reflectivity down a little bit. I want the eccentricity super tight. I want it this way. So if you look, see how it's kind of fuzzy? And as you go like this, it makes the highlight tighter and tighter. And I want it super tight. So, because the tighter it is, the more wet it's going to look. Spike your color, I'm going to go this way because that'll make it much brighter. And then the only other thing I need is transparency all the way up, which is going to make it see-through. So you take that, you're going to, not on that one, hang on a second, I've got to back this thing up. First I'm going to put the model over top of it before I put the material on, And I'm just going to try and match it up. And, okay, I'm going to scale it up just a little bit because it seems to still be competing. And with it selected, I'm going to right-click and assign material to selection. And what you're going to see, do you see the little highlight? So because it's a nice little highlight over top of the iris and it goes across it. So you can see we get a nice kind of little eyeball thing going on there. And if I do a quick render, you're going to see it's going to look a bit nicer than the previous version. Come on, baby, you can do it, right? Now, we don't even have real lighting in there, but if you add real lighting, it's going to look even nicer, okay? So, not too bad, right? Okay, so we'll close out of that. We are going to close out of this. And now we just need to place this guy, and we can go from there. So I'm just going to select both of them, and this isn't really the right way to do it, but I'm lazy. I'm just going to do mesh combine, so that way it's just one piece and it's easier to work with. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to slap it on in there. Okay, and he looks great. I say we just do that. I'm going to scale it down. It's forward. You can kind of tell, obviously, what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to get it positioned so that he has an eyeball. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Alright, get in there, buddy. You can do it. And we're just trying to get the eye in there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Didn't really give my guy much of eye. I didn't give him much of stuff here. So eyelids. So with it selected still, I need to make it on the other side. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to group it. I'm going to hit Control G, which will make it into a group. And whenever you make a group, the origin's automatically at center. Well, now that it's in center, all I got to do is do Control D to duplicate that group, and then put -1 on the scale, and it puts on the other eye. And now my guy looks super cross-eyed. All right, but now he's got eyes and he's got hair. Now the last thing I want to do is a little bit of cleanup before we actually do the rigging. Okay, so if you look on my guy, you can see he has all this history, and if you look at his values, well, that's okay. But you look at like his eyes here, right? They got these values, and there's a lot of history here. Basically, I just want to clean the whole scene up so there's not all that extra business. Okay, so what I want you to do is you're going to select all, click and drag over the whole thing, and then go to modify center pivot. Just make sure the pivot's in the center of everything that's there. And then we'll do edit, delete all by type, history. That'll get rid of all the history. Okay. And then we'll just make sure all these things have names. So we'll call this hair underscore geo. So we know what that is. And then we'll call this care model underscore geo. So we know what that is. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And then we'll just select this eyeball, and we'll just call it eyeball underscore L underscore geo. So we know it's the left eyeball. And then this will be eyeball underscore R underscore geo. Okay. And then what I want to do is go into the hypergraph and make sure there's nothing else in the scene. So we can visually see everything that's in the scene right now, but there's like items that might be hidden. You're going to be surprised at like the gunk that's in here. So we're going to go to Windows, General Editors, Hypergraph Hierarchy. And you're going to see, oh, it's not too bad. But I have the geometry underneath those groups that I made. I don't really need those groups. I only did it so I could flip it. So I'm going to click and drag both of them. Or you can do one at a time. All you literally got to do is just middle mouse button, click and drag it off. Middle mouse button, click and drag it off. That doesn't seem to work. Okay. Select it and hit Shift P. That should have worked. Select this and hit Shift P. Now I got these two groups. I'm just going to select both of those and delete them. They're not doing anything. So hair geo, what's this one? To Maya, I don't know what this is. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. See these here? These are just empty nodes. There's nothing in them, so I'm going to delete those. These are the image planes that I had earlier. I don't need those anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete those too. And these are the cameras front and side. I don't know why these ones are showing up, but not top. I don't understand. Sometimes the cameras show up, sometimes they don't. Usually they don't. This is kind of weird that they're here. But so now all you can see I have are basically these models here. So I'm just going to select all of them and hit Control G, which will make a new group, and we're just going to call it geo underscore GRP. So it's our, oops, I meant G-O. There you go. So it's our geometry group. And now everything's in a nice little package, and it's real clean, and I'm just going to save this. And our character is now officially complete. Now, if you want to add any other elements, you can. Obviously, I didn't add like fingernails. That's kind of weird to add that anyway. He doesn't have teeth or a tongue. Depending on what I'm doing, I might not even model teeth. I very rarely model a tongue. You don't see it. It's just not there most of the time. Teeth might be. So if you want to model teeth, you can model teeth. But that's up to you. I'm not going to cover it just because honestly, it's very time consuming to model something very simple. You would think that it's not, for something you're not going to see that much, it's a lot of work. It's kind of like ears. Like to model a real ear is a lot of work, and it doesn't really do anything, so it's just not a lot of value. So anyways, we're going to call that good. We're going to call this character good to go, and then what we can do next is basically rig it and create the blend shapes, and then he'll be ready to animate. Woohoo! Alright, so see you in the next one.